Hello, everyone. Welcome back. And today I have one of my closest friends, a fellow person who stutters or stammers, and a very special person in my journey. Uh, his name is Ajay Patil, and Ajay has a lot of questions for me. As a curious mind, he approached me last week and he said that I want to ask some questions to you, and I'm more than happy to take this opportunity to share some insight from my journey. So, without taking more time, I'll give the stage to Ajay, and feel free to ask me questions. And if anybody else has such questions, you can always reach out to me, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Over to you, Ajay.
So yeah, I'm very delightful to have this opportunity to interview you, means like to ask questions to you. So my first question to you is, tell me about your life during stammering. Means when you had stammering, how was your life that time?
So when I had stammering, my life was, I'll try my best to use the best words to describe it, but it throughout the time, especially during my teens, okay, my childhood was more or less fine because I was in a very comfort zone. I was with my parents, and there were lots of relatives, and everything was pretty smooth during childhood. There was stuttering, there was stammering, but it wasn't very serious. It was there, but life was manageable without a lot of friction, if you know what
Yeah,
I mean. As soon as I turned about 12, 13, that is when I started to grow up. Like naturally, we all grow up. Like now, you are, you know,
yeah,
growing up through this adolescent age. That is when the problem began. The insecurities, and I began to find comfort in not talking, or talking less, avoiding to speak, and most importantly trying to hide it, because it's not something that I was very accepting about it. I i found myself that the best way to not stammer is to speak as minimum as possible, or maybe even not.
yeah,
So that is one thing that I realized, that it's it's best to, like, not take initiative, not take leadership. So there were lots of mixed emotions around it, lots of them. I don't think I can even describe each of them in words, but I'll give you some very big ones. Insecurity, misery, hopelessness. If these are three words that I can use, the three, one of the three most powerful words to describe life throughout teens and early 20s.
yeah. So in the last line which you said, means like to avoid stammering, you had started to speak less. This is the way that most of all the stammerers use to avoid stammering.
Right. Uh, I would say a lot of them do. I can't put statistics, but yes, I've noticed a lot of people, they would avoid speaking, or they would try to escape from that situation, because
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't give any pleasure. I do notice
Hmm.
that stuttering is not something that gives pleasure. We don't do it with a smile. We don't do it with
Yeah.
grace, with acceptance. That is where the coin has to flip, which I will come later as to how I started. I think you've got some more
Yeah.
questions, so let's take it one by one.
So the stammering always has a bad impact on your life. When we say about the impact of stammering on your life, it always has a bad impact. So what was the bad impact of stammering on your life? Means while starting off your career in your schoolings and college life, could you tell us about something about that?
Okay, so yes, I mean, stammering has bad impacts, but it's also you letting those bad impacts affect you and you
Yeah.
taking it in the wrong way. So throughout my school and throughout my, throughout teens and early 20s, when I look back today, I notice why I used to overeat. I notice why I used to find comfort in just not doing things that I knew were good for me, not eating a a balanced diet, not exercising, but just eating chocolates, cheese,
Mm.
cold drinks, because I feel as a human being we need at least somewhere to derive some pleasure. For me, that became foods and drinks, and as I grew up, it even went to the extent of watching explicit videos,
Yeah.
drinking, sometimes even smoking. Why? Because I did not because I did not focus on the root cause of all the misery, hopelessness, insecurity. So, so because I did not focus on that, I was deriving my pleasure from other things which have side effects.
Yeah.
All the things that I've mentioned, they have side effects.
Yes.
Now, you are young, so I hope you can learn from my experience that
Yeah.
the answer is not in getting into addictive behaviors. If that was the answer, then we would not face any side effects. So there was
Yeah.
one phase of me ignoring my stammering, and I remember this day just before meeting you at Bangalore when my father was trying to send me for a speech therapy. I'm not going to take any
Okay.
names of the speech therapist, but uh, and I said, no, I don't need you. With all my ego and everything, I said, don't need any speech therapy. I'm just doing fine. And I don't have stammering at all. That's what I said.
Yeah.
But that is when, but I still went for it. I thought, let's take another risk because I'm quite young. I was
Yeah.
quite young at that time, just like I am now. But you know so that was my condition before going for this speech therapy in Bangalore, in the Karnataka state of India, which is in the south, for all the
Yeah.
viewers, for all the international viewers. So this was my condition before, during school, college, university, and the early 20s when I was trying to find work.
Okay, so you said that I should learn from your story behind the bad impact of stammering. Not only me, but the viewers who are
Yes.
also on the path to focus on those things.
The
Yeah.
bad, the don't let, so the moral of this short story is, don't let the bad impact of stammering lead you to addictive behaviors, because those
Yeah.
addictive behaviors will not take care of your stammering. But but when you realize this, you will have, it's like fighting it's like fighting two battles. Now you
Yeah.
have to work on your speech and your addictive behavior, because you have to deal with both of them, which can be a very time consuming, and it can be a slow process. So
Yeah.
that is what you should take away from what I shared.
So from this, I have raised another question. So what was the impact of stammering on your job careers? It's like interviews and all. How would you face them?
I'll be very honest. I would, for a lot of time, I would not even apply for jobs, because I
Mhm.
knew that when you make a job application, if you get accepted, you go for an interview. At some point, I was trying to avoid interviews, and to avoid interviews, I would not send job applications in the first place, even after knowing that it's essential, it's important for me to get job, right? So it was very tough. I remember this one. I went for the job. This is when I was in UK. I went
Mm-hmm.
for. I was in very urgent need of work, so I went to a restaurant to apply for a job as a waiting staff. And the moment I introduce myself, the first question that I get asked is, "Do you stammer?" And
Mm.
I said, "Yes." Even when I was saying yes, it was like, yes." So
Yeah.
he said, "Sorry, I can't, uh, you know, have you, because this job requires effective verbal communication, and you've got a stammer. I think it will be very difficult for you." Yes, he was quite polite. He said, "Don't take it in the wrong way, etc., etc." But this is, so I got it, and that shook me, but not. It wasn't until the lockdown of 2020, March 2020, that I actually got the time and the resources to put in as much work as I can on my speech. So
Mhm.
only the lockdown gave me this kind of a opportunity.
Yeah. So my next question to you is, how is your life changed after changing from a stammerer to becoming a good speaker?
Okay, so when you say a stammerer, yes, I do stammer, I do stutter, but I'm not just a stammerer. I am a human being. I have
Yeah.
10,000 aspects about me, and my identity, stammering, is one of my habits, but it's not something that I identify with.
Yeah.
It is something, it is there, but it doesn't form my identity. My identity is more based on my thoughts, the way I speak to people, my values, my mission, my vision. These are things I identify with.
Okay. Yeah.
Stammering is a habit, or some people like to call it. Some people like to call this a speech disfluency, a speech
Yeah.
impediment. I'm okay with that. What happens is, now, even now, I do stammer, but at least now I have accepted it. And most importantly, I I'm not as miserable even if I get a block. Like I've got a few in the past,
Yeah.
10-15 minutes that we've been talking to each other. But I'm okay with that. And I'm trying to liberate myself from from these thoughts. Not
Yeah.
become so-called positive, but I want to liberate.
Free.
Yes, I don't want to carry too much weight. I don't
Yeah.
want to be an overweight suitcase which is about to
Yes.
tear apart. I don't want to be that. A small I just want to be a small backpack with all the essentials and easy to go.
Yeah.
And that is what I have figured out so far. I'm still figuring out some things, but that is one of the things that I've figured out so far.
So after listening to all your stories, my last question is that what do you want to suggest the viewers of this video?
Okay, you mean from a stuttering point of view, stammering point
Yeah.
of view?
Not from stammering point of view, but overall point of view, means like behaviors after stammering and stammering also.
Okay, accepted. Number one, accepted. Because if you don't accept it, there is no problem. If there's no problem, there is no solution. So the
Yeah.
first thing that you should be doing is accept.
Mhm.
Another thing that you should be doing is like what I did during the lockdown. I used to join virtual meetings on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I tried going to Toastmasters to speak in front of non PWS. So there was a time period during this lockdown when I was speaking in Toastmasters, giving speeches and taking up roles in meetings, and I was also actively speaking to PWS. So I
Mhm.
did both. Do everything that you can. Keep all the doors open. If somebody is offering you help, go for it. If you can afford it, good. If you cannot afford it, there are still people who will help you. Just
Mhm.
keep your mind open, be willing to learn. And by open mind, I mean really open mind, not just in words, but in actions.
Yeah.
Listen more than you speak. Focus on communication as a big picture, not just your verbal communication. In the big picture, focus on becoming a better communicator.
Yeah.
Fluency will automatically come.
Yes.
Right.
So.
It's like saying focus on the process and the
Mhm.
result will be delivered even before you expected. But
Yeah.
aim high, keep high goals. My fluency, my speech, my insecurity, get out of your own way.
Yeah.
Just be open, explore. If possible, try to help people, take initiative, take leadership, host online meetings, host offline meetings if you have the opportunity. When you help others, you revise through the process, and that in turn helps you.
Yeah. So after valuable suggestions and after listening to whole your life story, I am very thankful that you have given me the opportunity to ask you all the questions. My questions
If
are
you
over.
have more
So
questions, you can ask.
no, I
And
have
you're
known
not
a
a
lot
shy
about
person.
you.
You're not a shy
Yeah.
person, I know, but if you have more questions,
No, but
you can
I
ask.
know a lot of you. I know a lot stuff about you. So these
Good,
were the
good.
questions which I hadn't known till now. So I had asked it all. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks to you for this opportunity, because while sharing this, to some extent, I am also reflecting on my journey, and maybe I can focus on some things while sharing and be like, oh, yes, actually,
Mhm.
I've achieved this, and I've learned
Yeah.
this from the journey. So, this session was meant to help everyone out there who's trying to find, who's curiously trying to help themselves with in terms of speech. Because if you want to help yourself, only then can I help you, only then can somebody else help you. But you got to be willing and open to helping yourself in the first place.
Yeah.
Any more questions, Ajay? Or
No, Krishiiv.
let's make a second part, and
Yeah.
in the
Sure.
future when you have more questions, we'll address them. But thanks a lot for this opportunity. And if anyone else, this is a message to all the viewers, if you have any more questions, you can feel free to reach out. We can have a chat over the phone. We can do this live session. And take care, and see you soon.